So I was in this, I was laid down, my palms were open. I was in like a shavasana type of position. And then they just started to say the words, and within seconds I was gone, out of my body. And I can't explain it any other way other than like I was like it was like, hey, this is how I can explain it. It was like my consciousness was in my body because I was still aware and I could tap into the presence of what was going on and what he was saying to me. But I was also, I go high, but it could be over here, you know. I was also somewhere else. And in this other place, I was flying. It was power. And I felt this power come up. And I was like, what is going on? So this huge, powerful surge came through me. And that was it. I was like, I can't feel that energy. It scares me. And then I knew my issue. I was scared of my own power. I was like, bam, it hit me in the face. I was like, whoa. And I felt myself kind of push it away. And it would make me cry. And it would make me shake. And it's like I couldn't contain the energy in this form. It was like it wanted to burst out of my seams, like my body would just explode or something. And it's just a change. It's just a new chapter. And as long as you're doing it with love, with compassion for yourself and for everything that's around you, as long as you're doing it with the good intention, the highest good of all, you know, and fully present and an actual want and non-judgment for everything. Hello and welcome back to Turn Towards Love. I'm Rachel Iris. Thank you for being here. So today's a bit different because I have decided, amongst years of hesitation, to fully disclose. That's the kind of word at the moment with the Disclosure Day film. So, but it's to like fully disclose my truth. And I don't know why it gets me emotional, but I didn't want to share this. I did want to share this. I really did. But I also didn't because the world that we kind of live in at the moment has its judgments and it's people very quick to, to attack or to shut down others. And so given it being a very vulnerable heart opening of part of my truth being my mystical experiences, and believe you me, it was I would say it was a shock. I think there were some aspects that there was a massive shock, but my whole life, like, I can't remember the exact time, but I just always know that I guess, like all of us, we feel different. And maybe we just don't understand why people are the way people are. And that can lead us on to self-inquiry. And so it did with me. And with my inner reflection was through meditation, mainly at first. And meditation, it's where I can deeply connect. It came naturally to me, like I wanted to do it. And when the meditation is difficult, it's okay. And I welcome that challenge, and I can see the parts of me that need to heal, that need to be seen, that I need to make friends with, that I need to love, that I need to care. I chose in high school, in the religion section, I chose Buddhism. And that just always spoke to me very clearly. I was like, this is just what makes sense. So it was an ongoing journey through all my years. You know, I'm 36 now, so it's been a while. And also, I wasn't fully dedicated. It was like there was chunks of dedication, and then I would, be off in the world having human experiences, just like, traveling mainly in my 20s. And those experiences I will cherish forever because I have incredible stories. But then one day. It was actually my Saturn return. So if you know astrology, it's around then. I was 28, and it was like a massive shock, to me, because I was I went from being in America, Milwaukee area, to studying there. I went to France and lived, studied, and lots happened, which I won't go into, but lots happened in America. Amazing things, but other things that I left because I got a bit frightened. I've experienced a lot. I did Indonesia. I was traveling in Indonesia and all the places and wonderful things. So all of it's not just mystical experiences. I've had enriched quality connection and experiences that has completely shifted and changed my life. But what I'm talking about today is purely the mystical experiences, and these came with the meditation. So I was in a deep meditation state, so fully enriching, I can't put it into words, but to try and best describe it, it was pure bliss. It's joy at a level that we could think we can experience joy, but then there's being joy. It's not just like, oh, this is joyful. It's like becoming joy and becoming peace, and as a complete embodiment of that feeling. And that's kind of the states I was getting to, and it's addictive. Like, you don't want to leave. Like, there are times where I literally thought, if I open my eye, am I levitating right now? But I don't know, but I felt so light and lifted, and all around me there's a vibration, like a tingling, and sometimes it's actually so much for me, because I'll explain later, but the kind of sensations that I get through feeling for me. And so it was extremely strong in feeling. So these emotions and feelings that were coming through were at its highest state, and it honestly felt like my body was just tingling all over, and it feels like you're not your body anymore. Like, you are way more than that. Like, you are everything. So this is what I understood already. And so there were the kind of mystical experiences I was having. But then I'm gonna keep checking my phone, because I wrote down all the notes, because I can lose track and I will be off on some kind of tangent. It was when I came back with all the traveling, but I was traveling a lot, and I do love travel. I love culture. I love film. I just love experiencing the worlds and people and the way they live, and just immersing myself, not just in the fancy, but I love the raw, real, rugged experience of life that you can. I feel like so many people want to get away from that, and I just think it's so precious, because it's so valuable what we can learn. And I really feel like I understand that, because when I went from America to France in 2017, my dad had a stroke. Amongst other things that happening, I left from one day to the next, left France, left where I was studying, left my work. I just got a job teaching children. It was called Petit Monde in Lyon. Such a beautiful place to live. And I got a couple of calls. One of them was about my dad having a stroke. I didn't really have a relationship with my dad very well at that time. So it was then, and it was like that Saturn return. It uprooted me, basically. I moved home to the UK. These tops, just tie that up and then it comes undone. So then a shift happened, and it wasn't quiet. It was a huge shift. I got home and reality hit me. So, and I love travel, but it was a means to escape. I mean, coming back to the UK, I just didn't want it. I just was like, no, I'm not coming back here. It's cold. Lots have shifted. But at the time, I realized when I got back, the whole world caved in on me, because, my dad was in hospital for 9 months. So one thing led to another, led to another, led to another. And I was in this business school called Six Figure Mentors. I met this person, and he was talking about this magic school. And I was like, I want to do a magic school, right? It's like my literal dream. I even started creating it. It was a mindfulness one. Anyway, I reached out to this person. Basically, long story short, this is one of my major experiences that have happened to me. And then this person offered me a type of regression. I said yes. They were in Australia, so it was over Zoom. And I was literally sat on my apartment floor. He's just going to like guide me through different things. And I had no idea what to expect. So I was lay down. My palms were open. I was in like a shavasana type of position. And then they just started to say within seconds, I was gone, out of my body. And it was like my consciousness was in my body because I was still aware and I could tap into the presence of what was going on and what he was saying to me. But I was also, I go high, but it could be over here, you know. I was also somewhere else. And in this other place, I was flying. And it was like I was just immediately looking down. And it was just green, emerald green, grass, hilly area. Honestly, it did look like a bit like the UK, but you know, any countryside, I guess. And it was a windy river, crystal blue river. The colours were just magnificent. It was so lush and like no other, you know, like Avatar. So I was flying and I was like, whoa. But the thing is, I wasn't scared at all. And because I was quite skeptical, you know, it's not like I'd not heard of it, but I'd not experienced it. And when you do, it's just like, it's just so much change happens within you. And I said to myself, I'm not going to cry. So I was flying basically, and I was looking down, and then I looked to the side of me because I didn't know at this point. I just saw the view, the environment. I looked to the side of me, and there's this giant dragon to the left of me, and there was this giant dragon, and all at first I saw was its scales, dark green, and its eye was huge. Like they depict dragons with quite small eyes, I've noticed, but for me, his eye was massive, and I don't know if that was because it was close up or some kind of delusion. I don't know, but it was huge, and it like narrowed in ease, and I looked at it and I couldn't believe it. Like its wings, it just kind of rested, you know, as like when your shoulders drop. It felt like that. In my mind was, what am I? So I looked behind me and saw my wings and saw that dragon. I say him because it felt like a masculine energy, but I don't know. But that's what it felt like to me. Because I could also feel the nurture and the love and the feminine. I looked and I saw I was it. I was a dragon there. And there's a part of me that doesn't want to believe it, and it didn't want to believe it, but what was happening, it wasn't just in my imagination, because I was physically there, but I wasn't heavy. I feel light though, you know. I feel light as a bird and like feather, like flying, and this energy just came over my whole body of joy. And so I related to it, but I related to more peace and joy and happiness. This was powerful joy. This was playful. This was magnetic. It was like, it was so fun. Like, it was so much fun. I literally started laughing my head off on this mat. And because all I was doing was lay there with my eyes closed, and then suddenly I was a dragon flying, and in this ecstasy, like in this literal bliss, playfulness and joy, I was laughing so hard that I couldn't even believe it. My own laugh kept bringing me back, and he kept asking questions. I was able to choose. It spoke to me, but through like a knowing, through its eye. So it's I is what I recognize, and it's what always comes to me. It's like it brings me messages, or it encodes something within me, and it's so much power and strength. But at that point, it was pure joy. And obviously you've got the power and the strength there, but it was joy that was being revealed to me, and it was the playfulness and the innocence of the dragon. Dragons are depicted as these fierce things, and I experienced the most kindest. It was like home. I was home. I felt like I was home. I was trying to understand what was going on. I don't want to miss anything out here. But so it was speaking to me, and I felt like I was being nurtured, that I was being seen for what I was doing, because I was caring for my dad, and I was helping him still, so it was a couple of years after that this had happened, that before my dad, but I felt like I was so confused if I was on the right path, and I was always wanting to be somewhere else than where I was. So it was this whole back and forth of trying to escape from the circumstances I was in, even though I deeply knew that I needed to be there. And it was just a confirmation. It was like, it showed me my inner strength. It was the beginning. So it was my welcome home. And I felt welcomed, and I felt loved, and I felt cared for, and I felt protected, and I felt like home. And I didn't want to leave. And I kept hearing his voice calling me, pulling, and it was literally felt like it was pulling me back. And I went from laughing to crying, and I just burst out into tears, because I felt like the connection was kind of, destabilizing. It felt like it was separating, and I knew it wasn't. And I felt this profound shift within my entire body, that I belonged. So I came back to consciousness in my own body, and I was almost furious. This person upset, and like and he's asking me what was going on. You was hysterically laughing, and then you was crying, and then you was saying what happened. I was just explained everything, and then I found myself keep saying everything is blue. I still don't know what that means. And that's all I kept saying. Everything is blue. So it feels like I'm on some kind of mushroom trip, but I wasn't. There was not a single ounce of any drug inside my body, and I've never experienced that before that time. And I always wanted to have these surreal experiences. I was so open as a person. I already feel connected. It's something that I'm fully having to decondition myself, but I already have always known my connection. And from being a kid, there was so many things happening as a kid that I shut down, as you do, because people think you're weird. So that introduced me in that conversation with him. It introduced me to Samuel Sagan's work. Now, this is what I love about Andre Ducombe's podcast, because he had Robert Gilbert on there. Robert Gilbert knew Samuel Sagan's work. I always wished I could have met him. And I started my podcast, and I really wanted him to be on there. But unfortunately, he passed away, and it's so upsetting. I just felt like I just felt so resonant to him. You know how we do when we watch people, we can feel so resonant. He has different layers to his work, but I know part of that was Samuel Sagan's, and I know he actually trained with Samuel Sagan, and the person that did me the regression, they don't call it that, then I trained in it, and we ended up calling it an opening session. So I will say opening session. So I know that he would have been trained in all of that and the practices that Samuel Sagan did. Now, Samuel Sagan, I have no idea who that person was. He was French. Hopefully I'm not getting any of this wrong, but then went to Australia and then created a school called Clair Vision School. I read up on Samuel Sagan. I was literally thought this guy is a magician. And because I read his books and everything made sense. The Atlantean Secrets, especially a biography of his past lives. And the characters in there it's all about the dragon. Right, like literally insane. I was like, what is going on? Life is so much fun, and I knew it. Growing up, I was like, life has got to be so much more than this boring stuff. Like, come on. And then I'm like, where's the magic? And I always try to bring magic in life and fun and creativity and stuff. So I can see where all of the pieces start to fit in. And his books, and I related to the people. I was like, I am one of these people. I related to the training in the dragon, and it's to do with the dragon lines, the ley lines or on the earth, and there are specific lines, and you can go to them and you can get charged. You can go into different realms, and basically what happened is the magnetic fields were started to glitch and fade, and that's kind of what was going to change the world significantly. Then the stories and the heroes' journeys and the kind of then so many enlightening things and so many answers were revealed to me of the questions that I'd been longing for at that time in those books. And those books became like my treasure. It was like it changed my life completely. Obviously tied in with the experience and Samuel Sagan's work. He gave these practices which you do in pairs, and you tune into the column and you can go through all of that. Amazing grounded experience. So what I started to doing was training in his work. I would be doing back-to-back sessions, of these practices, and they are intense. And wow, the experiences just keep coming when you keep practicing, and you have that dedication and you have that integrity. It's that devotion and the surrender that takes place to fully surrender your entire being. When I let go and surrender, I found out just how tense I was as well in different areas of then just focusing on it and then bringing ease to those areas. And then when you do that, like space just opens, things can be revealed, and that, I don't know if that makes sense, but it's what happened. And then it just went deeper and deeper into that. I just love to be with myself in stillness, and really found it fascinating. And I found my own way of navigating the unknown, let's just say that. And I have a specific way that I do that. If anyone's interested, let me know. But that's kind of like, it's what's helped me to be able to get myself to that place and get beyond the thoughts and the stories that just play. Those experiences, when they come, layers of your heart open. It was also my mind, the concrete opinions and judgments and things just fade away. I invited in the breath then. And I knew I wanted to take this even deeper, and I was like trying to figure out ways how. I was doing Dr. Joe Dispenza, did his whole online course, and actually couldn't believe the results I was getting in multiple ways from Dr. Joe Dispenza's. I use kind of the different techniques of everything that I've learned and my own stillness and my own meditation. So I had an intention and I wanted to connect. My intention at this moment in time, in this meditation, on this specific day, I wanted to connect with the beings. Whoever was there and wanted to connect with me, or had something that they needed to say, or something like that. I was traveling up through the column, which is like what we would call the verticality, and it travels up. Well, what it seems is up. I was trying to go higher, So I was trying to go deeper, vaster, more integrated, and it takes work to structure. And I think it's one of the most important things in meditation is structure that consciousness. It's structuring that column. I was doing that. You have to go out of the room, and then when you go out of the room, you go up through the sky to center, and then through the sky, out of the Earth's atmosphere, and into what I would call the field of stars. So in the field of stars is just the blackness and the stars, right? As we would imagine what we see at night, is what I was imagining in this meditation. With such presence, I was able to guide myself to it, but it took me attempts. I'm telling you this, but I was day in, day out trying to, let go and surrender and give the time and the effort and the space to do it. And it wasn't difficult for me then. It's more difficult for me now than it was then. It was natural for me to do it for some reason. And I got there. I felt myself kind of holding this connection up high, and it's like it can be unstable, it can kind of feel shaky. I asked for what my intention was. So I asked for connection, for ETs, for anybody that wanted to communicate with me. I was asking, who's there? Can anybody hear me? I thought, okay, I'm feeling so much connection, but then I was like, I'm not sure if I can hang on much longer. And then something's in my field, something's here. And it's like when someone's up close to you, you can feel it, can't you? And you're close, and it's like that. It's like, my gosh, something's here. I paid attention, and I was like, hi, it's like in telepathic communication. And I was like, all I felt was feelings again. I felt this connection. It landed for me again. I know it. It was a knowing. So a knowing went through my whole of my body, like, I'm here. What do you need to know? I asked them to send me a sign. I asked to see them or hear them, speak to them, communicate with them. I just wanted so badly to know them. How can I help you? How can I help this planet? Please let me know if you received this call, even though I feel like you have. And let me know. I want a sign, and I want it to come in the most unexpected way. And then I felt it, and then I felt it me go. Next day, I go outside, I go to my car, and I was like, why on earth is my car steamed up? And it was parked. I got in my car, and I shut my car door, and I looked, and I was like, what on earth? My whole screen was steamed, and there were just circles everywhere, different size circles. It was just circles. And then in the center of my car, where my wing mirror is, it was a Vesica Pisces, and I didn't know much about that at that end. What is that? And it was just two interlinked circles, and it was actually vertical, whereas you can see I've used it on my logo, on my Turn Towards Love logo, but it's actually horizontal because then it comes into a heart and makes a nice love thing. But it's actually vertical when I saw it, but that's what it looks like. I found out the connection between heaven and earth, one realm into another, coming together. The connections together, it's combined, it's not separate, it's now come together. Or it's like the masculine and the feminine, and that's been a huge thing. I think I'm called to do something to do with the masculine and feminine in my life. So these interlinked circles meant that basically to me that I had connected with them, and they'd received my message. They sent me a sign in the most unexpected way. I took a picture, I've got a photo. It's so completely perfect, the circles all over my car, but the vesica is so it was thicker, you see, the vesica. You know when you get the crop circles? It was like that, but just a vesica. Unbelievably, it stayed on my car. I feel divinely guided. And I was like, okay, I've not got to speak to you though, which I was like a bit devastated about because I really want connection. It was, I don't know the time in between, a number of weeks. I went to Birmingham in the UK, and there I was going to a high-rise building on the 25th floor. I get into this apartment, and I knew this person from school, I get into this apartment and I was like, I've had a dream. I've been in here. So this apartment gave me multiple experiences. One was a dream of the exact location. That's the room. If the room, there's the table, there's a thing. And so I was with someone who's looked exactly like him. I've just entered another part of fate. You know, the fate was the dragon. The fate was the connection. From the connection to going into here, I was like, whoa, like, what does this mean? It felt like something was going to happen to the UK. I don't know. I was in this apartment, and then one evening the sun was setting and the whole wind, it's the 20, so it's so high, and they have another building opposite it now actually, but they didn't, and it was like small, short, because they were just building it. So the view was wonderful, because it's just stretched across the whole of the room. The windows, huge full windows, and so I could see out across the horizon, and the sun was setting. This was one evening. I was just like this, looking out of the window, you know, on the sofa, blue sofa, looking out the window. This poured into this room was orange and pink glows. You know, it was just filling the room, filling the sky, covered the sky. It was so beautiful. And I was like in complete awe. I was so in the present moment. I was in complete awe of the utter beauty that was in front of me. I love how I am in this side now, so it was up to my right. I was just not thinking, gazing at the beauty. And then this giant UFO, right? As you would expect, but there was no thing on the top. It was just smooth shield, like a shield, smooth, complete eye shape. And it was like silver, able to reflect. And it was like that on an angle, as if it had just taken off. And it was going upwards, as if it was going towards the sun at that point, because it was just going like that. I was so taken aback. My question was received, and there was my answer. I felt gifted. I immediately connected everything together, made sense. So I was like, hi, you know, waving. And I was like, take me with you. I was being crazy. Like, Rachel, don't tell me to take you with them. But then I heard recently UFOs are angels. I was like, oh my gosh, can I hear you? Can I see you? Can you take me with you? You know, I was saying all of these things. I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I was so, so grateful. And then another one appeared below it. So they're both going like that. And then I was like, where did it come from? It just was there, but it's not like I saw it appear out of thin air. It goes all crazy, you know. You start to think, what is reality? It just merges, it just arrives, it just appears, and you just, okay, it's there. And the first one that I saw tilted. It went, and I was like, oh, I literally stepped back because I thought it was going to crash. And then I realized, and it went whoop like that. And then I went, oh. And so I was like, oh my gosh, it just waved. You know, it felt like it saluted me or something. It was like, hi, you know, like a poop, poop, as if because I was doing that. Anyway, that's what it felt like to me. It felt like it waved. And then I thought, is anybody, look, this has all happened so quickly. Well, it didn't actually. It felt like I was there ages. And I looked down. It's like time stopped, if you know what I mean. And then I looked down and I was like, what? No one's looking up. Ironically, there's that film in that says don't look up, and I'm like, do look up. Either the whole world now knows, and I'm like, finally, I've been waiting for this day my whole life. And then I literally feel like I have been, and for Disclosure Day, like forever. Because I feel like living properly, not in pretend. I thought, I'm going to look that way. I'm feeling drawn to look where they're going and if there's any more. And there was a third one in front of the first one that I saw, but it was just further ahead. So I just missed that one, but I saw it. It was just further ahead. And then what I saw was all of them go into the light, to the sunlight, and turn orange and pink. So it became the sky. it just used the sky as a camouflage, and they became the same color as the sky. So I was like, whoa, that's so cool. It was the most unbelievable thing to watch right in front of me. And also, I wasn't in a state, it was just in life like it is now. I didn't go out of body. Well, at least I don't think it did. It was just there in real life, in real time. And then they went off. But as I saw them eventually going, I was going to I did pick up my phone and take a picture. You see it on my Substack, both of them actually, if you wanted to go on there and have a look at them. But I started to write about it because I was like, I need to get this information out there. Yeah, and so I was calling to him in the bathroom, and I was like, where are you? I was like, come inside. He thought I'd like fallen out of the window. I was like, no, there's UFOs in the sky. And he saw them, and yeah, he saw them, but at a distance. I know that it was meant for me. And so that's why I didn't go on, because if I'd have done that and it disappeared, I'd have been devastated. I connected. I knew I asked a question. I knew I was given what I asked for. That was enough. And for me, all these experiences have been very closeted up until this very moment. And I have these with me for my nerves, and I've just not stopped talking, so I'm okay. And I also have my candle, which I make. I make candles if anyone wants candles. So that was one. And so in that apartment, I think the sun blessed that apartment. It was definitely like a portal. And obviously my friend from school, he was the one living in that apartment, and we've had multiple synchronicities, like with certain numbers and colours and things, because he actually has synesthesia, which is really interesting because he sees my colour as emerald green, and that's a dragon. So I find it all very fascinating, and this all came together in this time, actually. Yeah, so, and also in that time, there was other experiences, like when the sun came in, I was like, I saw like in front of me, which I see like particles, but I saw like in front of me loads of these particles, like as if I could touch them, like bubbles, you blow bubbles. It felt like that, like I could just see them everywhere. And then I was like, whoa, these are like beings. They move individually, a job or something, that it's like they've got a mission on. They're going all over the place wherever they want to go, but it's like, what are they doing that, so it was in my hands. It's like a fairy appeared, Tinkerbell type fairies, no word of a lie, everywhere, like scattered in between these particles. I don't know whether the particles then became them. Again, it was a thing that I don't know how it happened, but it was the sun again, where what captivated me, transfixed me, brought me into the present moment, and then magic things happened. Elemental beings I feel really close to. I think these signs have just proven that. And I think certain places like that apartment, and Birmingham in general, very strangely enough, in some areas, is actually also what I found interesting. Edgar Casey said that, I don't even think, because I've had nightmares of a flood since I was a kid, and so I always thought, is that my past life or is that this life? And it's been a real tragic time for me, but it's better now. My dreams are much better. I've worked through a lot of psychological, emotional stuff, and from that it's actually healed that. Edgar Casey said that other than Birmingham and London, they were going to be the only places that survived the UK flood that was going to happen in the 20th century. I was like, what? That's literally what my dreams have been, and that's what's been going on with everything. But now I know that we can shift our timeline. Yeah, so then after that, I trained to become a yoga pranayama teacher for a year, and in the UK. So from there, after the yoga course, I went to a Matthias De Stefano event in London, and this was in 2024. And I went with my friend, and me and her met this person from Colombia. We all instantly got on. I felt like he was my family. And so we all hung out and everything. And then we all got to, I was just so desperate to tell him about my dragon experience for some reason. So we went and walked in a park and told him about my dragon experience and about the vesica and about everything I've just told you. But he was in Glastonbury. And I'd never been to Glastonbury. Everyone went to Glastonbury for rave and like a great time. And I've just not done that. And he's like, you need to go to Glastonbury. Everything you've just said is in Glastonbury. So Glastonbury is in the UK. If no one knows, it's where Mary Magdalene was. And oh my gosh, Merlin, King Arthur, the whole of the legends, everything around there. It made me really want to go to Glastonbury. Let's arrange to go. So we arranged to go. I was like, you can tour me around. And we got there. It was actually a spontaneous thing. We were supposed to go the day after, but then we went on this day. It was evening when we got there. And we were in this Airbnb. I knew it was at that house. I'm feeling that house is really pulling me. I think we're in there. It's like, no way we are. So we were walking down, got in, the lights were off. So I was just putting my luggage down. And he put the light switch on. And he said, look up. Oh my God, Rachel, look up. I looked up and I was half like, my heart was racing already. There was the dragon carved in wood on the wall, and below it, carved in wood, was the vesica. I thought the person who was owning the Airbnb knew I was coming. I was like, we've got to ask her. It's like, no, Rachel, it's all part of Glastonbury. I was like, what do you mean? I didn't know the vesica and the dragon was everywhere in Glastonbury. I was like, and then, but as soon as I got there, I felt like I felt the dragon. So I felt home. I can feel it though. And then I started to panic. And then I shake. I feel such intense energy. And he's like, so can I. And I was like, thank the Lord. I was so glad. He was like, whoa, your eyes have completely changed. And I feel like my eyes are changed, and I resonate with the dragon with my eyes. And I feel the shift happen in my body. Like I feel like my body's changed. Like I've become a dragon, like in my form. It's weird. It started to ramp up its energy, and the whole room, it felt like it wasn't, because normally it just feels like me, and it did feel like me, but it was, the whole room was amplified in energy. It was power. And I felt this power come up, and I was like, what is going on? So this huge, powerful surge came through me, and that was it. I was like, I can't feel that energy. It scares me. And then I knew my issue. I was scared of my own power. I was like, bam, it hit me in the face. I was like, whoa. And I felt myself kind of push it away, and it would make me cry, and it would make me shake. And it's like I couldn't contain the energy in this form. It wanted to burst out of my seams, like my body would just explode or something. I got the information it wanted to communicate. I was like, we need to sit down in a meditation and we need to communicate. We need to be present and we need to communicate. And it's going to show us a way. So we did. So we asked it a question. Yes for 1, no for 2. On every single question, it answered yes or no with a tap that was loud and coming from up, like on the ceiling. Ask it a question. You would hear nothing, and then do it again. So it was really incredible. You can find ways which it'll come to you in ways which you least expect, but which is also familiar to you, so it doesn't frighten you. I am home in Glastonbury. I felt home. I felt the dragon. And I feel the dragon when I go. We went to do all the tourist stuff, the tour, we did all the visits of the places. So this was the next day, and he's like, we went everywhere, and he's like, I want to go to candle shop, because he likes these specific candles from this shop. So we're rushing, and he's like quite upset actually, because so desperate before it was shut to get these candles. I think it might not have been open the next day or something. I was beat. I just felt this power all day, and I was wiped out. The exhaustion was full on. Like, I felt so empowered and so powerful, yet so depleted and exhausted. I felt that that was my resistance to the power, because I didn't want to feel it, because I was like, I'm not ready to feel it. So we were running up through the town to the opposite end of the town to get to a shop called Halo. We got to the shop and we got in the store, and there's this man there. And then he looks up at us because there's no one else in the shop. It's tiny, small shop. Absolutely gorgeous. But I walked into the shop and bam, it was like I was hit by a brick wall of energy. And I was like, not again. Honestly, I was so done. I was like, I am so done. And I was like, I can't physically feel this anymore. And I walked into the shop and he was like, okay, it's him. And you know what? I avoided it at all costs. And he just kept it. And he was speaking to Jose and he was getting these candles. The shop is so pure of light. And the energy is so high in its frequency. I look at him and I see the dragon and I don't know what to do. Am I just seeing it anywhere and everywhere? This man is going to think I'm mental. And you know, and I'm like, no, he's not. Everyone in Glastonbury is a literal witch or wizard. I need to calm down, but I just really couldn't. And I was holding it in all day to be normal, trying to be normal. So I stepped back, and then Jose comes to the till, towards the till, and then behind me there was a glass table, and on it was a big picture of Merlin. And then on the top of the glass table was lots of different crystals and stuff of dragons. And then Jose went, "Whoa, Rachel, have you seen these dragons? They are so beautiful." And I can actually feel the power from them. This whole place is filled with dragon. The man was like, "Oh, so we familiar with the dragon?" And then me and Jose told us some of the story. But as soon as he looked at me, and he said that was it. I burst into tears. I don't know what it wants from me, and I don't know how to help it, and I don't know what it needs, but it's telling me something, and I don't know what. And this man's looking at me like this, and I thought, oh, I've had a little mental breakdown in front of this man. And then this girl's there, a girl that works there, and she's looking at me wide-eyed, and they both looked at each other and went, "No way." And he went, "Don't worry, I'm a dragon master." I was like, I just don't know anymore. I just don't know. I can't even decide what life is at the moment. So I was like, I knew it because of his eyes. Oh, it's so weird. I can't explain it any more than that. But the girl was like crying, and he was fully engaged. He is so present, and his name is Martin. So I'll stop calling him he now. So Martin, if you're ever there, say hello to him, and his wife Rena. Oh, what a lady! We were there, and they both looked at each other, and apparently, because Jose was trying to explain the story, and I was trying to explain, but I couldn't because I couldn't breathe, with crying. And they said to me, "You're not the first to come in and do this," and it was only a few weeks prior to me being in there. Another girl came in, and she did the exact same thing as me. He said, "That's never happened before, and it's happened within weeks." He stepped me back and he was like, centering me, guiding me through my breath, bringing me back to the present moment. And he's like, "I'm going to use dragon spray. I'm going to get it right there." I'm in my pajama pants. I love it when I do podcasts because I'm literally just in my pajama pants, but I look dead smart on top. So the dragon power spray, so it's the gridding spray, and on your face. Oh my gosh, instantly back to the present. Well, that's been charmed, that's been, the energy is infused in that of the dragon power. He said to me, "You need a staff. This is your time now." So he says he was a master basically. So he was like, he taught people, and now his time is ending of that, and the new ones are coming to him to begin it. And he's like, you beginning that? I'm like, what? I don't know a first thing on what to do. Don't worry, you'll be shown the way. Trust the way. Trust the process. Trust the way. So we're now friends. Me, Martin, and Rena. And something incredible happened the last time I went up last year. Or was it this year? And I'm recording this in 2026. Just after the Disclosure Day film, a week after I think it was released. I was driving and I was excited. You know, I love my own little solo road trips. I'm just focusing on the road and the motorway. And then suddenly it was like a tunnel. I can only say it was from my third eye. That's all I can say, because it's kind of what I would know to be that. Because with Samuel Sagan, you also train a lot in the third eye. And when I was in Glastonbury, what I didn't know, I went to speak to Martin and I was like, why is it here? My third eye is going crazy here and it's itching, but it's here. And then I said, it's above my head really high. He's like, that's the fourth eye. He was like, that's Jesus Christ consciousness. I didn't know that. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I must have just been on autopilot. Don't remember the road. There was this girl in front of me. She does have long hair, like really long though, like down to the waist or below. And it's wavy and it's all blonde. And she's like smiling and she's like white glow all around her. This beautiful girl's just and all I heard was daughter. And I was like, daughter? Okay, daughter it is. And I was like, are you my future daughter? But I was like, am I you? I don't have children. So I was like, I felt like I was her. I felt like it was me, but it wasn't, because it was separate. Well, it's not been that way before. Just so familiar. Looks like me. I don't quite know. I just heard daughter. So I got to Glastonbury and I had this long chat with Martin when I was there. At the end, he said, do you know what Rena said to me last night? She thinks that you're our daughter in our past life. And I just went, I can't believe it, because if I say now my experience, who's going to believe that? Because why wouldn't I have said it beforehand? It was always on my mind and I wanted to say it, but I just didn't know how. I saw this girl appear to me. She's a daughter. And my only response to that was like, do you have a daughter? And he's like, yeah, but I don't know what the question was. Then this woman came in. She needed help. So the conversation never really got completed. But I knew that from immediate. And that's probably why it's probably to do with dragon line, right? Dragon blood or dragon something. Because he was dragon. I remember when she came in and I was there holding the staff and she just came in and she just went, she was doing a course at one time and she just looked at me up and down and she went, this was before she even properly knew me. And she went, I can see you in Egypt. You lead everyone, and you are best friends with Morgan Le Fay. And I was like, I've like briefly heard of Morgan Le Fay. And then she walked off. So there was a handful of my experiences, because I could just go on. But I'm telling you, it's been a while, because what I've realized recently, it's been very human again in my world, in terms of having to heal my body, to sum everything up. Like I just did a podcast with a psychic medium and healer, Rachel Rendell, The Other Side Speaks, it's called, on my Turn Towards Love YouTube channel. She encourages us to say our truth. Her mystical experiences, if you wanted to continue listening to some, go to that video and watch it, because her mystical experiences are phenomenal and amazing. Obviously, there's something very tailored and unique to us. It's never the same thing. Speak your truth and own it. Own who you know that you are. And don't be scared, because it's like people who aren't meant to be in your life won't be. And you have to fully take ownership and responsibility of who you actually are and what you've been through and everything that's around you. Because I still have to work on so much of that. And when we can like get past that, this is when this stuff starts to happen. The last thing is, I wanted to just say it because I'm saying this now. So my truth is that I am Clair sentient and Clair cognizant. The way I get in touch with different kind of spirit worlds is through feeling and through a knowing. So the feeling will come, and then it's like the name or the knowing will come. Like, and I have many experiences of this, and I won't go into them now, but I can at another time. But it's those experiences are very different because it's not always pleasant. I feel their feelings before they've even felt them. And then when someone passes, I could be sat there eating my dinner, which I was one time. I have to put my dinner down and then my body starts shaking. And I've got this from root up all over my body, an overwhelming feeling of whatever's going to happen. So overwhelming feeling. I had an overwhelming feeling of my auntie, and the knowing of it was her come to me, auntie. And it was like, she's ill. She's going to die. She's like seriously ill. She is not okay. It was like, and so I felt all these feelings of death. It's very, very physical in my body. And I started to burst out in tears, couldn't eat. I was like, I got my phone, I was messaging her. And then I thought, if she doesn't message, I'm going to just call her. But it was late at night. And she messaged me going, I'm fine. I love, yeah, I'm okay. I was thinking, no, you're not. And because it's so certain within me, because I've just tangibly felt the experience of her not being okay, like to her near death. I was like, you're not okay. I can't say to her, like, you're not okay. Like, what am I supposed to do with that information? I was like, right, I'm going to have to go and see her tomorrow immediately, because it's the one thing. And my mum had me painting, and my mum was like, Rachel, your auntie's sister, she's fine, she's messaged you, there's nothing wrong. And I was like, no, but there is. And I was telling her the whole experience that happened. I was like, I can't cope with it every other time that this has happened. I've got to do something. She was like, just finish this up first, Next minute, she gets a phone call. I'm not blaming Mum. I should have just taken my own intuition and guidance, and I should have just gone. It's only around the corner, and I should have just gone, and I didn't go. So it's my own fault, and I didn't take responsibility of what I was given. And so then Mum gets a call, and then my niece comes into the room and goes, apparently you're psychic. And I went, what do you mean? Nana's just said that Auntie Jean's in hospital and they don't know whether she's going to survive. She's like, she just should not have survived. I don't know how she survived. If we got in the hospital, then she's not going to be here much longer. So my brother comes up from Surrey, a few hours away. The whole family, big family, all there in the hospital around her. But something happened that day. It's this, what I'm starting to realise, speaking this out loud, it's the sun. That literally makes no sense to me. It is, because I always get my information when I look at the sun. I never picked that up until now, so I'm really glad I did this, because like I was at my mum's and I was looking through the window and I was like, all these family are coming, I know it, and I couldn't get upset at this time, even though I was crying my eyes out in the experience, sat on my sofa. I was looking at the sun, and you know what? It's not intentional. Oh, now I know it. I don't know if it was going to work. Now I know it. But I was looking at the sun, and for some reason, I started to chant. So I started to chant. On bevas verha satsavitu vaneam bago devas yadi mahi dehoyona pachodaya. I started to sing to the sun for the health and happiness. And I did it on repeat, and I was in a trance. The sun puts me in a trance state kind of thing. And I was receiving this information, and my brother comes in and goes, what's happened to you? Like, very, what's happened to you? Just kept singing, da, 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 and I was receiving the information, and basically she was going to be all right. And so he's like, you're not even speaking English. And I'm like, I'm chanting. I said to my brother, the sun has just told me that Auntie's going to be all right. And he's like, Rachel, everyone's here on her deathbed. She's going to die. And I went, no, she's not. She's fine. And then everyone left the thing because she hadn't died. And everyone went home, said their blessings, to her. She's still here to this day. And that was what? I don't know whether that was 2 or 3 years ago. The doctors was like, it's a miracle because her body started to heal itself. And we all have a running joke with her because she survived the most treacherous of things. I don't know how, but she's unreal. So I wasn't actually going to mention that whole thing, but that's what you can kind of see as an example of clairsentient. Claircognizant is the knowingness of what's happening or going to happen as a premonition. I have no idea what's happening. I don't know when it's going to come. But I'm starting to open up and express the information that's coming to me. Just let it go into the vastness of the space. So yeah, it's the integrity to your truth. Like, I'm trying to be integral to my truth right now by saying it out loud. And an embodiment of that in love. My whole thing is being able to turn towards love in every given circumstance. I'm going through this radical change, and that's great. And it's just a change. It's just a new chapter. And as long as you're doing it with love, with compassion for yourself and for everything that's around you, as long as you're doing it with the good intention, the highest good of all, and fully present, and an actual want and non-judgment for everything. So we're not actually stopping it from coming in, because there's my repression on it has been my biggest thing. It's like I've tried to stop it coming in a lot of times because it's a lot to handle. So we've got to learn how to manage it properly, and that's what I've been learning how to do now. It's a gift, and we all have it. It's already there waiting for us. We just got to make that effort, and the serenity that comes with that as well. It's that sincere approach, and it's all combined, really. And that's it. I'm grateful for the task. I've done it. I've said it, and it actually gave me more of an excuse to actually do it because I'm doing it for something. I'm grateful, and I wish you all the love on your journey, and I will speak to you again soon, and may you always turn towards love. Bye. Thank you for watching, everyone. I have put in the description box down below a link to my products and services page, and I've also put a separate link to the night practice. And I find that this night practice that I've created was similar to Samuel Sagan's one, and I've invited more of the breath into that from my other studies. I find this night practice so useful to get us into a deeper state, and you can use it for sleep. So you can play it, and you can do it lay down with your palms facing up, and it requires you to just relax and listen and follow my guidance, and it will take you a bit more into the astral realm as well, and it can help you to have a lovely sleep. So you can use this at any time of the day when you feel like you want to deeply relax. And you can find all my products and services on the other link. In there you can find astrology readings, guided meditations, my longer ones, and a bunch of other things. So be sure to head over there, and I would be so grateful if you could like and subscribe and comment. Thank you again, and take care.